Hello everyone and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews. Today we'll be doing a very special review on LEGO Harry Potter set number 4841, Hogwarts Express. This set came out all the way back in 2010 and featured 646 pieces, 5 minifigures, and it retailed for around $80 when it released in October of 2010. I've had this set for quite a while. It has a lot of sentimental value to me, but without going into too much of that, let's just start off with the minifigures, shall we? The first figure we get with this set is, of course, Harry Potter himself, and this is a variant of Harry that I've already shown off in his own episode of Minifigure Spotlight, so I'll be rather brief here. The special thing about this figure is the torso print, which obviously is just a nice casual blue jacket. It's appeared in a multitude of sets from the Harry Potter line, 2 from 2010 and 3 from 2011. So a rather common print, but still a pretty nice one. I like the detailing on the zipper and the fact that there are a couple of little wrinkles in the shirt. Those are just nice little details to make it seem a bit more realistic. Back pretty much just has a couple more wrinkles and just the continuation of the light blue stripe. Pretty simple print, but it looks pretty nice. His wand is, of course, just the brown lightsaber blade piece. It was fine at the time, although it is definitely not nearly as good as the new wand pieces. But no one really complained back then when this was the best we had. He just has plain gray legs, which personally I don't really like with this torso. I feel as though some of the other sets, like the Burrow, for example, used this torso with black legs, which I feel did look better, but oh well. The face print here is the same one that appeared on all LEGO Harry Potter minifigs released from 2010 up until 2016. And I think it's a pretty alright print. I don't think it looks too much like Daniel Radcliffe, but I think it does for a 2010 face print, I think it's a pretty alright design. You can see that he has sort of a confident, smiling expression on this side, with his, of course, lightning scar printed on the top of his head. His alternate expression is more angry, with furrowed brows. And his hairpiece is just the normal Harry Potter hairpiece that LEGO introduced all the way back in 2001. And while that might seem to be it for this Harry, there is another accessory he comes with that is a pretty special piece, only appeared in this set and one other. So it's pretty cool to get here. It'll work a bit better if I remove his wand. This accessory is the invisibility cloak, which is not much of an invisibility cloak. It's basically a very sparkly, I don't exactly know what to call it. It just sort of goes over top of Harry's head, like that. It doesn't make him invisible at all. If anything, it makes him even more noticeable because it's all sparkly, but I think it is a unique inclusion. I think it was a cool thing to include. As you can see, mine is very torn up. This wasn't made out of the best fabric, so pretty much the majority of used copies of the invisibility cloak that you're going to see will be in notable states of disrepair, which is kind of funny since, of course, the very special thing about Harry's invisibility cloak in the series is that despite being so used, it's not tarnished at all, so bit funny there, but yeah. Overall, that is this set's casual Harry Potter, a perfectly fine figure to include in the set, with a rather nice accessory. And now let's move on to the next figure. This Ron has also gotten his own episode of Minifigure Spotlight, so I will once again be brief. The torso print depicts a red sweater vest, which I think has some nice detailing on it. You have some sort of checked designs, as well as you have some nice dark red and black striping for the collar and the bottom of the sweater, or, well, not really striping, well, dark red, and then you have the black representing the sort of pattern in the material. Around the back, you just have more of the same detail, but it's nice. Ron has the same brown wand, and his face print and hairpiece are really nice. The hairpiece was designed especially for this Ron in 2010, and I think it was a great choice. I think it does work pretty well for an Order of the Phoenix Half-Blood Prince Ron when he had sort of the longer hair, but not as long and goofy as in Goblet of Fire. Removing that, I do feel as though the face print is very faithful to Rupert Grint, and as of the time when this was released in 2010, it was probably, I'd say, one of the best likenesses to an actor that LEGO had gotten up to this point on a minifigure face. Turning you around to the back, you can see that my head does have a bit of scratching in the mouth, but this is a very scared expression, which I think fits well with Ron's character, as I accidentally completely knock over my entire minifigure stand. So, getting him back up here, that's really all I have to say about this figure. He looks pretty nice, has some nice parts, pretty great Ron Weasley. While this set does technically have a couple of exclusive minifigures, Luna Lovegood here is the only exclusive character to the set, and really the only one with any sort of exclusive prints in the long run, although Ron and another figure did have some prints that were exclusive for a time, but then were later put in other sets. But anyway, Luna here has to be my favorite figure in the set. And no, that's not just because Luna Lovegood is my favorite Harry Potter character. This is a very well done figure. Starting with the outfit, you can see that her legs are printed to have her with a black patterned skirt over her jeans. The skirt has, like, lots of little stars and hearts and horses, I think. I don't know. It looks very nice and is accurate to the film. And you can also see those two black lines, which I think might be intending, like, the top of her boots. Not too sure, but it looks pretty nice. Obviously, the skirt doesn't go around to the sides or anything, but for 2010, that's perfectly fine, in my opinion. The print for the jacket is also very nice. It's basically only just black printing and nothing else, aside from just a little bit of purple up at the top. But anyway, I think it looks very nice. I like how it has the stitching lines. It's a very well done print. Turning Luna around to the back, we can't really see her back printing at the moment because her hair is blocking the way, but before we take that off, let's talk about her hair and face print. The hair is definitely my least favorite part of the minifigure. I think it's a fine hairpiece for Luna, but personally I feel as though maybe LEGO could have used a different one to make her hair seem a bit more disheveled. Because I think this style does seem a bit too neat for Luna, but it still looks alright. I don't know. It's pretty good, and I do like the color. I think it does fit pretty well. The face print, though, here is great. I think that this does look pretty perfectly like Ivana Lynch, who, of course, portrayed Luna in the Harry Potter films. I feel as though, like, her and Ron, both in this set, are two of the best likenesses LEGO has made to actors as of the time of this set's release. Like, as time went on, especially for, like, the LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens sets, LEGO has done some other really good likenesses, but these two were some of the best at the time and are still really great. But taking off Luna's hairpiece, you can see her alternate face has her with some Specastrex, which I think have some nice detailing on them, both for the I don't know exactly what you'd call them, the gold part, like the actual, not the lenses, like the main, why am I blanking? You know what I'm talking about, the gold part. You have some nice patterning in that, and then the lenses themselves do have some nice swirls, which are nice. I'm not a big fan of the mouth, though. I think she's supposed to look sort of mystified, although I don't know, I just don't think it looks too good, but still a pretty nice figure. Turning her around to the back, you can see that her back printing isn't too complex, although I do think that it is a pretty good continuation of what's on the front, but not much more. But yeah, this is, as of 2018, the only minifigure LEGO has ever made of the character of Luna Lovegood. And in fact, it is currently the only minifigure LEGO has made of a Ravenclaw student, which is just sort of a fun fact. So yeah, Luna is definitely, of the minifigures in the set, the highlight, and she's just very well done. A great figure overall, both for when she came out, and even now, she's pretty great. The next figure we get in this set is Ginny Weasley, who is an alright inclusion. She does have the same Gryffindor torso that's appeared in nearly... I think it might actually be every... Well, not every, but it's appeared in the majority of the LEGO Harry Potter sets released from 2010 and 2011. But it is a pretty nice print, though. You can see that it has the Gryffindor badge and the tie. You have some nice detailing there, and on the sweater. Back, you just have some more creases and the stripe. Pretty simple print, but pretty nice. Ginny, her face print is exclusive to her, although another variant of Ginny did appear in the Burrow. So none of the parts here are exclusive, but I think this face print does look alright. I don't think it looks too much like Bonnie Wright, but it'll do. I'm turning the head around to the back. You can see that I'll just turn it a bit more. She does have a more aggressive expression, which I think looks alright. I think this one looks a bit more like the actress, but it still could be better, but it's an alright likeness. The hairpiece was designed specifically for Ginny for these two sets, and it looks pretty great. It's in the dark orange color like Ron's hairpiece was, and I think it looks pretty good. We have some nice detail around, some nice sort of detail in the hair. I especially like over here where you have it sort of sliding into each other and stuff. It's a good style. I like it. So that is Ginny Weasley. Definitely not one of the best figures LEGO's made, but definitely a pretty nice one. The last figure included in this set is Slytherin antagonist Draco Malfoy, who I think is an alright figure to be included in the set. You can see that he does have a black wand, because of course he's a villain, so his wand is black instead of brown. That's just how science works, mate. But anyway, you can see that his torso print features the Slytherin colors for the Hogwarts uniform, and at the time the set was released, that was an exclusive print. Although the next year it did also appear in the Battle for Hogwarts, but at the time, this figure did have that going for him. The print is overall pretty similar to what we saw for the Gryffindor figures. Just now you have, of course, the green and silver instead of red and gold, a snake in the badge instead of a lion, and you also have a black snake printed onto the tie, which is a pretty small detail, so I actually really like that. But yeah, on the back, again, you just have some wrinkles and the stripe. Pretty simple, but it's alright. The hairpiece here is the Widow's Peak hairpiece that LEGO has abused in recent years, although at the time it was made exclusively for Draco, although it was also used for Fenrir Greyback in another set. It was designed for Draco, and I think it does look pretty perfect for him, and I think LEGO agrees since it's also being used for him in the new Harry Potter sets for this year. You can see that does have some nice sculpted detail around all angles. It looks very nice and slick. The face printing doesn't do much to look very much like Tom Felton, although I think it does look alright for the cocky Draco Malfoy that they're trying to portray here. I like the positioning of the eyebrows. The eyebrows are probably my favorite part of this face. They look pretty good. Not the biggest fan of the mouth, though. I feel as though I don't know, the smile's just a bit too slanted or something. I don't know, it really doesn't look at all like Tom Felton to me, but it's alright. But if we were to turn that around, then we can see that his alternate face has him being much more cautious, maybe a bit frightened. I think this does look a bit better, although still not the best face print in the world. I think the eyebrows are still on point here, and I also like how he does have some little, like, bags under his eyes here. I think that does help it to look a bit more like Draco for the Half-Blood Prince, which this figure is based off of. But, I don't know, it's still the mouth. I think the mouth is a bit better here, but it's still not great. But overall, Draco is a pretty nice figure, has some nice prints, and although he's the last figure in the set, well, the last minifigure in the set, there are a couple of other figures that we'll be taking a look at before we move on to the builds of the set. This set includes 3 owls, the first of them being Harry's owl, Hedwig, who I think is a really well-done figure on LEGO's part. Just one piece, but the printing here on the white owl is very well done. I mean, most of it is just, like, on the front you have a bunch of feathers, but I think the face, the eyes are very well done, as well as the beak that has gray and black, and it just looks very nice. Around the back, you just have some molded-in feathers. The figure just attaches to a single stud on the bottom. I mean, overall, very simple, but very nice, and LEGO is, in fact, using this same design for Hedwig in the new 2018 Harry Potter sets. So, pretty cool. Pretty great owl. Now, I've always believed this gray owl to be based off of Ron's owl, Errol, or more accurately, the Weasley's family owl. And while I've never gotten any confirmation, I do feel as though he does definitely look quite a bit like Errol, what with the many lighter gray feathers on his, on his chest, I guess, as well as some brown mixed in there as well. And then the eyes, he has, again, the nicely done eyes on him, as well as sort of like some feathery, not really eyebrows, but you see what I'm talking about. Some nice feathery details there. And the beak on him is also very well done. It uses a bit of yellow, and I think he looks pretty great. So that is Errol. So now let's move on to the last owl included in the set. That being this brown owl, which, as far as I know, isn't really based off of any specific owl design from the books or films. But it is nice to get a third owl nonetheless. As you can see, this is a brown base with a fully tan and design for the feathers on the front, as well as some black details in there. The eyes here look a bit less serious. I think he looks pretty good. You have sort of some tan details around the eyes on the sides. You can see that on mine the printing is a bit misaligned, but he still looks alright. The beak does just have a bit of black on it, so a bit less detailed there, but overall, still a nice owl, although I would say that he is the least of the 3 included. That is the last thing in the set that I can call any sort of real figure, so now let's move on to the side builds we get here. Now, this set comes with quite a few little accessories and side builds besides what we get for the train itself. And to start off with them, we have the classic LEGO Grey Rat piece representing Scabbers. I mean, this is a piece that's appeared quite a bit in LEGO sets. He looks alright, though. I mean, the new one's a lot better. I think the sculpting on the head is nice, although the legs leave definitely some to be desired. It just connects to a 1x2 space. Yeah, pretty simple, but he exists. Then we get a couple of printed 2x2 tiles, the first of them representing the Daily Prophet. As you can see, that this has an exclusive article on Mayhem at High Security Prison, massive breakout from Azkaban. You can see there a little sepia tone image of Azkaban. And this other one is an issue of The Quibbler, the Wizarding World's alternative voice, featuring an article where Harry Potter speaks out at last, with A very well printed image of Harry there, using quite a few colors, and it also has an article inside about Nargles in the mistletoe. Then next up we get 3 1x3 stickered wand cases. We have this black case with a gold wand sitting on a velvet interior. And what I like about these is because they're 1x3 and have more realistic wand designs, these could actually work pretty well in the modern Harry Potter sets with the new wands. So that's pretty nice. Then we get this gray case with a brown wand sitting on a gold, interior. And then this last one is a dark gray box with a dark brown wand sitting on gold again. And this has sort of a little ribbon going around the box. Pretty nice stuff. Then we just get 2 gray keys for no real reason. It's not, I don't really mind that we get them though. Then we get this little trunk, which has a black spider on top. And then inside of here, we just have 2 red gems, 2 clear gems, then a neon trans green fairy wand, and a trans pink fairy wand. I don't really know why we get all that stuff here, or who it belongs to. I've always thought of the trunk belonging to Luna, because the stuff included is pretty weird, and pretty weird would sort of fit Luna, but I don't know, that's just a theory. But it's certainly a trunk of stuff nonetheless. But then the last thing we have here is the candy trolley. The set doesn't come with a trolley witch to go with this, although the new Hogwarts Express does, which is nice. But anyway, you can see that on top of here we have sort of an ice cream piece, which I guess could represent some every flavor beans, potentially, as well as a chocolate frog up there. It's on a couple of skateboard wheels, and here you can see on the side that you have an advertisement for Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Beans. And then on this side you have a door that's stickered with an advertisement for Honeydukes and the chocolate frog. And then opening this up, there's nothing on the inside, although you could put the chocolate frog or ice cream piece inside. And then you just have this little gold handle on the back so that someone could push it around. Pretty simple, but pretty nice. So now let's move on to what I guess is the main side build of the set. That side build being the Weasley's Flying Ford Anglia, which I think is a pretty well done build. Starting at the front, I feel as though the hood is pretty well done, with the sort of 4x4 hood piece with some 1x4 tiles on the sides. That does look pretty great for the Ford Anglia, and I also think the headlights are done very well. And I think it was a brilliant idea for them to use the sort of 1x6 car, I don't know what you call, I forget what you call sort of this piece, the fender, the 1x6 fender piece, to sort of get that curve for the grill, and then sort of using the 2 1x2 cheese grater pieces inside of that. That's a pretty nice design. Although, really, I feel as though those cheese grater pieces should be less black and more dark gray, but it's alright. What isn't alright, though, is how much space is between the grill and the bumper, because on the actual car there isn't any. The grill should be, like, the bottom of the grill should be flush with the top of the bumper, and I really also dislike the little 1x2 spot of dark gray there. Don't like that, but it's alright, I guess. From the side, you can see that there is a white stripe that continues to the back, although it is cut off at the door, which is alright. I'm fine with LEGO not putting in the extra effort to print the stripe. I'm not the biggest fan, again, of the light bluish gray going underneath the door, that sort of stripe going through. But I don't mind too much, to be honest. You do have a lot of pieces here, and I don't really remember the name of the color, but this sort of, lightish blue, this wouldn't really be sand blue, I don't think. So, whatever you want to call this color, It looks pretty nice in my opinion. I like how you sort of have the slopes here connecting the roof at the back, as well as these sort of upward 1x3 pieces going there. At the back, you have a couple of headlights, as well as the back bumper. I think it's a bit odd that there aren't any license plates on this model, but it's alright, I guess. You can see that the wheels, I didn't previously mention, are actually the Tiny Turbo's Cars 2 sort of mini wheels system, which I think look alright. They have the sort of larger rubber tires on them to give them a bit more bulk, which is nice. And, taking off the roof, you can see that on the inside, you have some 2x2 tiles. And the idea here is that if you open the doors, then you can easily put in both Harry and Ron, just sort of sitting on the tiles, close the door, put the roof on, and you easily have two figures inside of the flying Ford Anglia. Pretty nice. And then turning it around to the back, here you have the trunk, which can open up. Inside of there, you just have a single, if I can get it out, you just have a single black suitcase piece. Although, if you wanted to, you could easily store Harry and Ron's wands in this area, in this space as well, which is pretty nice, and you can just close the trunk down on top. And yeah, the Ford Anglia is a pretty awesome side build to get here. Aside from that annoying thing with the grille and bumper at the front, this is a very accurate representation of the car, and I really like it. It's a great build, and now let's move on to the main build of the set, the Hogwarts Express itself. So now we're moving on to the Hogwarts Express itself, and while in a minute I am going to split this up into its three major sections to go in depth on it, before I do, I just want to give a bit of a warning to anyone that owns this set or is considering owning this set about the fragility of a certain piece included here. Basically, you can see that on both the train, locomotive, and the passenger car, you have two sets of two wheels. Well, those sets of wheels are each connected to the locomotive by what is essentially a 4x6 tile with a single centered Technic half pin. And my warning here is basically, you want to be careful with this and make sure that it doesn't fall off of, say, your shelf or something, which can be a bit of a hassle, considering that the plastic wheels have literally no traction. Because the worry here is that those 4x6 pieces aren't too sturdy. So basically, if either one of those sections would happen to fall, then those pins might end up getting bent or even snapping off entirely. So, yeah, just something I wanted to mention. I don't think it really takes much away from the actual quality of the set. It's just something I wanted to mention. A rather unsturdy part. I mean, if you got this set, then maybe you could do some modifications to prevent that. Maybe switch that piece out for something else. I don't know. But enough about that. Let's just move on to the locomotive. So here we have the Hogwarts Express locomotive, which is, in my opinion, by far the best part of the set. It has quite a bit of detail to it. So starting off at the front, you can see that this is sort of tilted off to the side. Give me a second to fix this. Okay, sorry about that, but anyway, you have this nice 4x4 printed radar dish that has Hogwarts Express on it, printed in gold, as well as 5972. You can see that part of that print is being blocked by by a black lever piece, which sort of represents this little detail that the Hogwarts Express has on the front. Personally, I feel as though the set looks better if you just pull that lever off, but I mean, at the time when this came out, LEGO thought it was an important detail to include, so I guess I'll just leave it on for the duration of this segment. But then at the front you can also see your two headlights and a red stripe. But then you can see that here at the front you have this molded piece for a couple of rectangular buffers as well as a snowplow. And this piece at the front is actually magnetic, so it can use magnets to connect to other LEGO train pieces. Then going more towards the side, you can see that here you have a continuous slope behind the headlights. Going into some greebling here, you have a stud, then you have this sort of 1x2 modified piece with some bars to sort of represent some piping. You have some more of that in here. Here you have a clip and also a sort of a 1x1 unmodified plate, this sort of style. You can sort of see it in there. On the sides, you have this continuous tubing running along, which is a rather nice detail. And then you have this sort of nice represented little hump, I guess you could say, there on the side. Nice detail. Then you have the 1x4 panel piece, which really should be another one of those humps, but LEGO decided not to go with that, instead having a sticker on it saying Hogwarts Castle, which really isn't accurately placed. Really, that section should go more above here. Like, I mean, I feel as though maybe they should have just had this be another hump, and then maybe attach like a 1x4 tile with Hogwarts Castle on it above that. I don't know, but then you can see another hump, half hump beginning. All this detail is mirrored on the other side. And you can see back here, you also have a sticker that says 5972, which is the number of the train. Then up here, you can see that you have some nice golden details, including the funnel up at the front. You also have a couple of exposed studs up on top for no real reason. Don't know why those are there, although I guess that maybe you could stick your owls on top of those little studs, which is fine. As you can obviously tell, this doesn't really have a very rounded shape to it, as basically you just have some slopes, then some just flat bricks, and then some downward slopes. But I think it gets the job done well enough, and I like how they did sort of try to blend in the more curved design here at the back. I don't think it succeeded that well, but it was a valiant attempt, I'll go with that. You can see that here at the front you have a couple of gaps for the conductor's cabin. You have some sort of open window spaces on the sides. Now, I don't believe that those are actually accurate to the train, but I don't really mind them. They're gaps that look like they could be intentional, just some windows to the front of the train. It looks alright. You can see you have sort of a sloped, rounded roof up on top, which I think looks pretty good. You also have a bar on the back, and you can see that that's sort of connected to these two black bars, which are, I guess, sort of being little supports for it. If you remove the roof, you do get a little section of interior here. You can see a stickered 1x2 showing a couple of gauges. And then you have a couple of little levers above the coal area. And something pretty nice here is that you can actually pull out the little coal section, the coal burner, I guess, and then inside you have 3 pieces of coal. Two are already glowing hot, and one is just normal black, which is nice. Let it be noted that you really don't have much room in here to place figures. I mean, like, you have a 2x4 area here, but because the bar attached to the coal section overhangs, you can really only fit just a minifigure standing on the 2 studs. I'll just take Draco because I have him on hand. So I guess you could stand a figure in like that and then just put the roof on if you really felt like having a conductor in there or a driver. I personally don't think it's too necessary, but if you wanted to, you could. I like that they did include an area in there at least. I mean, they could have just left it entirely blank, which would have been pretty lame, so I'm glad there's an interior, and overall I'm glad that this model's, for the locomotive, is as detailed as it is. Doesn't have a lot of playability to it, but if it'll stop rolling forwards, I feel as though there's some very nice detail captured here. I like the fireplace feature, I like the interior. I feel as though there are a lot of great stickers on this, as well as that nice print up at the front. Overall, this is a pretty great design for the Hogwarts Express Locomotive. I dig it. Now let's move on to the coal tender. So moving from the most exciting thing in the set to the least exciting thing in the set, we have the coal tender, which is an alright little build, just not too interesting. You can see that pretty much all of the detail is made up by two stickered 1x4 3 tall panels on the sides that have the Hogwarts crest, as well as showing that this is part of the Hogwarts railways, or I guess that it rides them. I don't know. But anyway, you can see that you'd have black bars on the front and back. And then on top you have sort of the slope, the cheese slope, sort of representing this curving up. And then I guess you have these panels. It's very simply done, but it's alright. Yeah, it rides on 4 wheels. You have the 2 little cylinders in there, which represent a bit of, like, piping detail, which is alright. But then on top of here, you can see that you do have some black studs on top representing coal. And then you have a little handle there on top of a red 1x2, and if you can't tell by the obvious handle, this can open up, and inside you just have a couple of brown suitcases in there. Well, you'd have a ton of room in here. You could store nearly all of the extra accessories included in the set in the coal tender. You have a ton of space in there. Feel free to use it to your heart's content. Overall, that's really all that's going on here. I think this is a perfectly alright build for something that doesn't really need much of a complex build to it, I guess. If I had one thing I would change, I would switch out the red 1x2 there for a black one to make the handle less obvious. Although LEGO probably made it red for the sole purpose of making it more obvious, so I don't know. Still a pretty nice build, though. I like it. Now let's move on to the last build of this set. So the final build of this set is this passenger car, which is pretty simply done, but I think it looks nice. Overall, you can see that on each side there is just this one single sticker with the Hogwarts crest on it. And you can see that this is just a very simple construction. You can see that here, the bottom layer here is just 3 1x8 bricks, then just a layer of yellow plates. Then you have some window pieces, like the preset window pieces, combined with columns of 1x1 and 1x2 bricks. Just look at this all around. Very simply done, but it looks alright in my opinion. You have the 2 sets of 2 wheels, just like with the main Express locomotive. And then up on top of here, I don't know why you have these details, but you do have 3 2x2 tiles and 2 1x2 jumper plates. I feel so this might have looked better if they just left the detail on top completely flush, like not had those pieces, but I don't know, it's alright, I guess. The roof can easily be removed. And inside of here, if I tilt this up, you can see that there is a sufficient amount of interior space. You do have 4 seats, 2 facing each table. One table has just an ice cream piece on it, the other one has a cup. So, for example, you could sit Luna on one seat and Ginny on the other and have them conversing over an iced cream. And then, I guess on the other side, we can just put in Draco sitting by himself, since the set doesn't have any other Slytherins to go with him. What I really like here is on each side behind the seats, you have a full 4x5 area of empty space, which is really nice because you can fit a lot of extra stuff in there, just like with the coal tender. And also including the trunk of the Ford Anglia. There is a ridiculous amount of space in this set to store all your extra odds and ends. Like, for example, you could easily fit in the candy trolley Although, of course, now that I say that, I'm not going to be able to easily fit in the candy trolley. There, got it. Okay, then you could probably fit in the trunk. And I mean, probably some other stuff as well, but I don't really care to put in the effort to stuff everything in here when I'm going to take it out in a second, but yeah. Overall, the passenger car is pretty simple, although it does everything it needs to. And overall, I guess that's the last thing in the set. So I guess now let's move on to the final verdict. So overall, this is a pretty great set. The minifigures are a very nice selection. You have a ton of great accessories. The Fort Anglia is a really nice side build. And the Express itself is very well detailed and does have some very nice interior areas and play features. Although I am still rather annoyed about that one rather fragile part that's used to construct it. But anyway, so overall, back in the day, would I have recommended this set for $80? Sure. I mean, I do feel as though that is asking a bit much. I feel as though this is definitely more of a $70 set for what you get here, or in terms of size and part count as well. I feel as though, like, 60 would have been a really good deal. 70 is the realistic price. 80, though, is definitely a bit much. Although, of course, now this set isn't going for 80. This set is now going for well over $100. So, honestly, for this set, like, if I'd made this video last year, I probably would have said that you should pay, like, at least, that I would pay upwards of $200 for this, although now LEGO's releasing the new Hogwarts Express, so, like, not having anything to do with my opinions on which set is better, I feel as though, like, you shouldn't pay that much for this when that one's coming out, and I do have a feeling that now that that one is coming out, the value of this one might decrease some, potentially. I don't know. But yeah, I would pay a maximum of like $120 to get this loose. Maybe upwards of $160 if it's still in box. I don't know. Would I recommend the Lepin knockoff of this set? No! I do not. I don't support Lepin. I mean, if you buy Lepin or other knockoff Lego, more power to you. It doesn't bother me that much. It's just that, like, I'm not going to, and I'm not going to recommend it to you. I would much prefer if you get, say, the new Hogwarts Express from Lego, which, again, not including my opinions here. I don't want to state my opinions on that set, really, until I get it, since they might change once I get it. And I do plan on making a video in the future where I do compare these two, that set to this one, to determine which is the better Hogwarts Express. But that's looking into the future. Overall, this is a pretty great set. I think it's pretty good. If you can find it for a good price, pick it up. Yeah. Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see all of you in the next one. Farewell.